I got into making rum.
Okay.
And we grew that company to 7 states. And then right before COVID hit, we sold the majority of it. And I mean, it's still out, it's still pumping today.
Really?
I am involved, not near as heavy as with Zest, my new baby.
Yep. Okay.
But love it, you know. And so it's interesting how Zest came about because it's so different than the rum.
Hey everyone, you're watching the Lively Charleston Podcast. Our goal with the show is to interact with and tell the stories of the amazing people, places, and businesses that make Charleston the best city in the world.
If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube.
And check us out on Instagram and Facebook where we post content regularly throughout the week. Jake, what is up, man? Welcome to the podcast. Super excited to have you on.
Absolutely, my man. What's going on? It's good to be here.
So this is going to be a fun one. I can tell already.
It's liquor. You know, it's liquor and Charleston combined. I mean, It's a marriage.
And here we are at 9 a.m. You've already poured a couple of shots for us. And so in Charleston fashion. So do we kick it off with that? And then we go back and tell everyone?
Let's go ahead and try it.
Let's do it. All right.
So I've kind of given you the rundown.
Yep.
Right. It's 30%. So it's almost a foolproof vodka. But it's fresh lemon juice that we import from California and only 5 grams of sugar, right? So think like a light limoncello. It's about half the sugar.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. Let's do it.
Let's drink one and then let's go back and talk about it. Cheers. That's tasty.
You know, I like it chilled, but
tasty.
that was damn good.
It's really good. Mm-hmm. I bet, we're doing it kind of room temperature, but I bet chilled is real good.
Yeah, and it doesn't freeze. That's another thing that's beauty about that 30% because it's strong. You just leave it in the freezer and it won't freeze.
That's amazing.
I know.
That's amazing.
It really is. It really is.
Well, and you've blessed us with a couple of bottles. I really appreciate that.
Of course.
So we'll have to put those on ice. But let's go ahead and go back here. We want to we're going to talk about you a little bit, kind of how you got to now your second liquor company.
I know.
At the ripe old age of 31. My goodness.
I know. It's been 10 years though. I've been in the industry since I legally could, I think.
That's wild. So does that make you a veteran at this point?
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll let others say that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's take it from the top. You so you were raised in Charleston.
I was.
Right. Were you born here?
I was. I was born in Mount Pleasant at East Cooper Hospital. I think right over there. So not too far.
Born and raised, huh?
Born and raised with the worst of them.
How do you feel about all these transplants moving into your city?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, because I think it brings culture to the city. You know, I mean, a lot of people, and actually not a lot of people, a lot of older people, my parents' generation, don't like it.
Yeah,
Whereas I think it's more exciting, you know. Yeah. If it was up to me, I think we could use some skyscrapers in the North Peninsula.
Oh, really? So you're all for it.
I wouldn't mind like a pro football team. You know, like it's
cool.
Obviously the South Peninsula where the historic houses are. You know, leave those, don't touch those.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Between North Charleston and that neck and that kind of no man's land of North Meeting,
just build it up to the sky. You're
that
good
way I don't have to go to New York. I can get all the energy here and just put it all in one.
You know what? I was shocked when I first moved here because we talked about you've been to Colorado a bunch.
Yeah.
I was shocked that we don't have like a cowboy country bar in Charleston, right? Like we have one up in Somerville, but there's not one in Charleston.
I was about to say there's one. What is it? Saloon? Is that right?
Honky Tonk.
Honky Tonk.
The Honky Tonk Saloon. Yes.
Yeah. You know, I haven't been there.
Really?
And people
time.
are like, it would be a great Zest bar, and I need to make it up there. But I hear it's like people do line dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is exactly.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I guess, put down a line and try to stay on it.
Something like that. Something like that. It's like an organized dance that a bunch of people get in the middle and do, right? But they in Colorado, they were huge.
Really?
I just feel like here in Charleston, girls love to put on cowboy boots and go dancing, and then guys love to go where the girls are. I feel like it would make sense.
You know, maybe next venture.
So if you need an idea, there you go. Awesome. So born and raised in Charleston, and you always wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, it's not that I even always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I did not want to do the standard 9 to 5.
Okay.
So this was my escape from it, and I got the experience of doing it. I interned in D.C. for a congressman and kind of saw what that life looked like, and I was like, if I could not do this.
Yeah, that would be
that would be nice, you know.
That'd be ideal.
So,
okay.
Okay.
Do me a favor. Pull your mic a little bit closer to it. Yeah, there we go.
Is this better?
For the people. Yeah,
for the people.
They want to hear what you have to say. Okay, so you interned a little bit. You did the 9 to 5 thing. And it just turned you out. Was it the structure? Was it the kind of the bureaucracy of it, or?
I saw success in chapters, right? And so, I was at a table one time and I could see, every 5 years where my pay grade goes, and it was just kind of like too structured for me.
Yeah.
It's like I'd rather crash than be the passenger.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to hop behind the steering wheel and see where the car took me.
I like that. I've never heard that before. I'd rather crash and be the passenger.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
So wouldn't that be awful? Like you're working for this great firm and you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and like by the way, someone that was running the firm was doing illegal stuff. Your job's gone, and you're like not in control of that.
Yeah,
so,
100%. Well, and you can get laid off just as likely as you could crash and burn doing your own thing.
Yeah. Right?
Right.
So I guess I took the risk.
Awesome. That's funny. That's actually how I got started too. I could see my next like 4 promotions in front of me. Like, all right, well, if I do everything right for 15 years, I end up being that guy.
Yeah. That guy's not
I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can totally relate. So you had a couple jobs that you said were impactful to you, just in kind of like learning the meaning of hard work. Right. So what were those and what was that all about?
Yeah, my first one was working at Dunleavy's Pub on Sullivan's.
I love Dunleavy's.
I don't know how Jamie would feel about this. I think I was maybe in 8th grade. I don't know when you're legally allowed to work, but it was like right on the cusp. And I got paid out in cash by the service. So I would just bust tables. I had to have a job. Like my mom was like, you got to have a job every summer. You got to work. And so I did that one. And then I carried bricks, which is a hilarious one for Village Restoration, which is like this restoration company that works on luxury homes. And so when they would renovate these houses, right, they have old brick and new brick. And the old bricks, people love it, and it's very cool and it's different.
Yeah.
And so what people will do is when they renovate the house, they'll stack the old brick so that they can use it, if they do a renovation. I mean, they might even sell it, I'm not sure. But my job was to carry these old bricks and stack them neatly.
That is hard work.
And I'd be working one lady one time, and she had this gorgeous house, and I'd stack these bricks. And we're talking like 3 days of stacking bricks. And she obviously doesn't mean any harm by it. She comes out and she tells the contractor, she's like, I think maybe like 10 feet to the right would be better. You know what I mean? And I was like, this is going to be fun. So that one taught me a lot. And then I worked at what is now, I think, the Harris Teeter. It was a red and white grocery store, stocking shelves. And so now I'll be in the grocery store and I'll see like something misplaced. I hate this. Like I'll see a bottle of salad dressing, like, outside of the condiment aisle. I'm like, this has got to go back.
You just put it back.
And I pull stuff to the front, so that it's all organized. It's like, maybe that taught me to be OCD. I don't know.
I love it.
I know the pain of stocking grocery store shelves and keeping it pretty. So
you're still a volunteer shelf organizer.
Oh, yeah.
To this day.
If I'm with a friend shopping and they're like, you know what, I'll switch this out. And they just put it on the shelf. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's awful.
You can't
Don't do that. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Which Harris Teeter was it?
So it was called the Red and White on Isle of Palms. Then I think that they sold that to Harris. I think it's a Harris Teeter.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure. I try not to go back. It's
PTSD. Fair. Awesome, man. So you, born and raised in Charleston.
Born and raised.
Started. Mama had you working early. You gotta, learn the value of hard work. Right. Make your way.
Got to.
And then so at some point you moved into and started your own company. It was a distillery, correct?
It was a distillery.
Okay.
So I was at Wofford, and so that was when I had my internship junior year up in DC. And so I knew senior year that I was like this. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I know what I'm not gonna do.
Yeah.
And so we had a random business plan competition, right? And so my freshman roommate, who was randomly assigned to me as well, he's going into investment banking with Goldman. And so he was kind of had the same exact thing. He was like, I see where I go to VP. And so he was also like, I don't want to do this either. And so, it's not like I was, people joke around because I'm from South Carolina. And they're like, so, did Daddy moonshine? And no, I had no liquor background, had no interest necessarily in making a micro distillery. We were just looking at doing something different. And so we joined this business plan, and there were these guys. His father was a financial advisor. And he had these guys outside of Charlotte. It was a father and his 2 sons, and they started a company called Cardinal Gin. And this is back in 2012. And he was like, these guys are just selling so much gin. They're selling container loads to Italy. And I was like, well, let's go see what this is about. We go there. It's like a garage.
You go to Italy?
No. We go to rural North Carolina.
Got it. Okay.
Almost. So it's similar. And we get there, and it's like an operation that's like, it's not like it's bad, but it was very I could do this in a sense, not that they were doing anything bad at all. I was just like, this is feasible.
Yep.
And they're making all this money with this setup. This seems like a good industry. So we started to look at the industry as a whole, and it was just exploding, similar to microbrewing back in the 90s, right? Wow. So when we entered in 2013, when I got my DSP, I think there was 300 existent distilleries, micro distilleries in the U.S., and over 300 applications that year. And so I was like, clearly there's a movement similar to the beer world that, you know, people are getting tired of just drinking Jack Daniels. And so it started there. And I go, I want to live in Charleston. I want to make booze. The sector looks good. What do we do? And I was like, and this is like 1 a.m. I Google search Charleston history liquor. And I'm thinking bourbon, right? I'm like, okay, obviously this is a big, you know, historical product.
Yeah.
And it wasn't true. Rum reigned the colonies. And that rum today you have, a lot of it's aged in ex-bourbon barrels, which is not a bad thing at all. It makes a sweeter product. But rum existed prior to bourbon. And so there was this huge amount of rum that was put in freshly charred barrels that would taste similar to a bourbon. So I was like, oh, that's a cool story. And that's how we started Red Harbor. Red Harbor being when the British controlled the ports and taxed the goods coming into the harbor. The colonists would smuggle the molasses in and then distill it into rum, and it's no longer molasses, so you can't tax it.
Huh. Interesting.
So that's how that one came about, right? And what a wild ride. It's like, you know, I remember even we built out the distillery on bare bones of a bare bones budget. People said, like, this, for what I spent, they said double that was impossible. And so we built out this place, and I remember getting in there.
Like, impossible to succeed with twice the budget that you had?
Yeah,
Really?
exactly, yeah. And so we get in there, and I remember, like, getting everything. You're so busy setting everything up that you forget that, like, you know, this is just the beginning. And I remember everything was set up, and I looked at it, and I was like, damn. I got to now make rum.
Yeah, now you get started.
Yeah. So it certainly put a fire under my ass. And that's the thing, forced learning, right?
Yep.
I don't believe in a plan B necessarily. I like being scared because if you only have a plan A, you're going to force it. Plan B, it allows you to, you know, stop. Yep. And it makes it easier, you know, to give up. So I think that helped a lot, not just diving full head into it. But
that's wild.
Uh-huh.
So you got into making rum.
I got into making rum.
Okay.
And we grew that company to 7 states. And then right before COVID hit, we sold the majority of it. And I mean, it's still out, it's still pumping today.
Really?
I am involved, not near as heavy as with Zest, my new baby.
Yep. Okay.
But love it, you know, and so it's interesting how Zest came about because it's so different than the rum.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Okay, so let's before we transition over to Zest. So the other one, it's called
Red Harbor.
Red Harbor, okay.
Red Harbor.
And it's a rum, and what's it go with, and where can people find it?
So you can find it at all, like, obviously the bottles, your Total Wine, your Greens, the big liquor stores throughout South Carolina. And then it's orderable at any mom and pop.
Okay.
But the bigger stores, you're going to find it on the shelves. And it runs about $39.95. So it's a premium rum.
Yeah, absolutely.
In that category. So I remember when I used to sell it, if I saw a Twisted Mustache, I'd get excited. I'm like, this is going to work.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so when you sold you sold a portion of that, how many bottles were you I guess distributing or selling on weekly or monthly or
I couldn't
whatever?
even tell you the case sales when I did it.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. At Lively Charleston, not only do we love talking about all the amazing things there are to see and do in our awesome city, but we also love helping our clients buy, sell, and invest in Charleston real estate. If you would like to learn more about the Charleston real estate market, feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. We'd be more than happy to help you strategize and create a game plan that will be sure to help you hit your real estate goals. And now, back to the video.
It would be unfair for me to guess.
Really?
My
Okay.
business partner would know exactly.
Would know.
Oh yeah,
He's the
number
metrics guy.
He'd be like, "You idiot! Open
right.
the spreadsheets."
Fair. You're the podcast guy.
Yeah, I'm
He's
the podcast
data
guy. Yeah.
Fair enough. But 7 states, so safe to say it was blown up.
It was we were expanding, and I wanted to go even quicker, but the thing is, and this is what I've learned, is that, you know, we didn't have the budget of the big guys, and so when you go to a state, right, like Zest is only in South Carolina. Let's say I took it out to California, but I don't have the marketing dollars for it. And so it goes okay, and it's not doing that great. When it comes time to exit or sell the company, they don't care. There's no mercy. If you go, well, you know, we went to California, but we didn't have the biggest market. They go, I don't care. You went there and you didn't do well. It's all about analytics.
Yeah.
And so with this, what I've learned, it's not always best to grow so fast. And I learned that in the rum business is, you know, someone say, hey, this is great. Let's do it in California. I go, yes, please. This is great. Let's do it in Georgia. Yes, please, when I wasn't financially prepared to make that step. So we stepped too soon in a lot of places, which does lower your valuation. So that was one thing with this. It's better to slow growth in a sense.
So you already have, you kind of have to plan the exit in mind as you're growing and kind of going through the process.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So let's transition into Zest here. First of all, so what made you want to sell that one? And then what was the gap between selling that and then starting Zest?
Well, so, and like I said, we didn't sell, we're still involved in it.
Right.
But the thing is that I love the history of the rum. What I didn't realize is when you're 22 years old and you walk into a cocktail bar and you go to a guy and you're trying to sell him on the rum and you're 22 and he's like, what are you doing here? Come back in 20 years if you want to sell me this beautiful
He's
aged
checking
product.
your ID. Yeah.
And so you don't fit the brand in a sense. It wasn't damning at all, but, people want to see someone that's, 50 that's making this, Sure. And so we were young, and it was in a sector that, like I said, was very high end. So like my friends, when they would be at bars, I remember I got into Shelter, which is a bar in Mount Pleasant, and Shelter has no business having $40 rum. But my friends would go there and buy it, and they would send me pictures, right? Because it would be like $16 a drink, and they'd be like, "Love you, hate you," like thanks, man, like, I'm supporting you, but like. And so they were like, I had a lot of people being like, why don't you make something that's like not so, pinkies out, and so I was always thinking, something that was more fun and, light than a aged spirit by the fireplace kind of deal. So Zest is obviously completely opposite.
Yes. More of a younger crowd, more of a party.
Yeah, well, that's, it's, we came about, I was actually at Shelter and I was talking to a bartender and, we knew citrus was a huge exploding thing in just the alcohol world. And obviously lemon drops are a pain to make, right? And so if I can save that bartender time and explain the time value of money, he can get 2 more drinks out, right? And be making way more money than he's spending the time making 8 shots for the bachelorette party. So I liked the lemon drop idea. It wasn't out. No one had bottled it, and I was like, at the same time, I'm going to keep it natural, right? I'm going to use fresh juice. I'm going to use quality ingredients. But it's so much, it's light, fun, and refreshing. There's not like this serious tone to it. And my friends now buy it, and they don't send me pictures. So.
Because it's a little more affordable.
Yeah, it's $6 a drink. They're like, this is what we wanted.
Love it. So you created a win-win for the bar owner, for who's getting better use of his staff, for the bartender whose life gets a lot easier, and now for the consumer of the product who gets, like you said, gets it for $6.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And so we launched it for the restaurants in a sense. I thought it was going to be just 90% restaurants, right? Because it is, the bartenders do love it. They keep it on ice and they're like, thank you.
Yeah.
Because they literally hate making. One guy was like, how many do you hate to make? And he was like, one's too many.
No,
I went around to like 30 bars and I would time it, right? And I found that if you use Zest, right, for 5 shots, I could save you 47 seconds. And so I would go and time the bartender. A couple of them caught on. They're like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, don't worry. I'm not like harassing you. I'm going to, And so that was the big initial expectation, was this is going to be huge in the bars. And it is. Like, I mean, Saltwater Cowboys is selling more Zest than I thought feasible.
Wow.
But the unexpected thing is that we have so many people buying it and taking it home and throwing it in their freezer, like house parties and stuff. We get tagged on our Instagram by all these people. And so it's like, I think we're selling more to people that want to take it home.
Interesting.
Because if you look at like the shot market, right? If you go buy a Fireball or Rumple Mints, I mean, they're kind of like starkly masculine and very like heavy drinking focused. And, it's like no one takes a shot of Fireball and then goes and runs. And so I think people like the fact that they can have a shot without the expectation of a headache in the morning at the house, and like I said, it's fun. And so we have a lot of people buying it, taking it to whether it be a pool party, a boat day, a beach day. Now that we're in football season, I'm getting tailgate pictures all the time.
Yes.
But it's something that you start off mixing, and you can also make a shot out of it. And it's not, I don't know what you mix with Fireball or Rumple Mints, but Fair.
So what do you recommend mixing this with?
So my favorite, because I'm simple, like I used to joke around when I was in the rum business, when I'd go ask people to make cocktails, they'd be like, well, what do you think? And I'd be like, I can mess up a rum and Coke. So, I spent enough time just learning to make the rum. So I like it with a sparkling water, a Topo Chico or a LaCroix, just because it's simple, right? I mean, a full like Zest drink is 73 calories. So you put that with a soda, now you have something that's not only light in flavor, but it's light in caloric content, right?
Absolutely.
And that's another thing that we really focused on, is we promote our nutritional content, right, very heavily. Whereas if you go on like the other shot sites, Rumple Mints and all this, like you're gonna have a hard time finding the amount of sugar or carbs in there. And so we have that on our front main homepage.
Yeah.
And so I like it with soda water. A lot of people are mixing it with tea because it's like an Arnold Palmer. Someone told me the other day, ginger beer. I haven't tried it with ginger beer, but someone was like, it's a citrus mule. But my plain
that
self.
Sounds great to me.
My plain self is just sparkling water.
That sounds great to me, actually, with the ginger beer. I might definitely have to try that. Awesome. So did you find that, so now people are coming into the bars, they're ordering a round of lemon drops, and is the bartender saying, "Hey, you want to try this new thing?"
So it
Instead of a lemon
depends,
drop?
right? So sometimes there's some bars that I've found that like they'll have it and they'll make the lemon drop separately, and I'm like, dude, it's right there. And then others, they don't give them an option. If you order a lemon drop,
This
they're
is
like,
what it
yeah.
is.
And that's most bars. They're not like, well, you should try Zest. They're just like, perfect. And then they use Zest.
This is our lemon drop. Yeah.
So I think a lot of
Great.
the initial growth, we've had some rapid growth in our early stages. I think that's a lot to the part is that, I didn't even really think of this, but we're piggybacking on to the success of lemon drop as a shot as a whole. If you order a lemon drop, the bartender's not going to go, well, I can make it or I can give you Zest. You're getting Zest.
Yeah. That's all, and I guess that's what we want. And
Yeah.
they probably don't know the difference.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Except that, like you said, they'll have less of a hangover. There's less sugar. Mm-hmm. Dude, I love it. So now you guys have become the fastest growing vodka in South
I
Carolina.
know. Isn't that wild? And
That's amazing.
I was told that. I was so busy doing sales, I didn't
Yeah.
even realize it. But it's pretty exciting.
That's amazing. And how long has Zest been around?
I kept saying 9 months. I was at a tasting the other day, and I was like, we've been doing this for 9 months. And like Justin came and he was like, dude, it's been a year. So
That's wild.
about exactly a year. We did our launch party last August, I think it was, at Uptown Social downtown. We launched there and threw a great launch party and had fun. And so yeah, it's been a little over a year.
So quite the adventure.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Where are you guys headed from here? Where are you, and where is Zest in 5 years?
So like I said, one thing that I learned in the liquor business is to tackle your own backyard and then use the echo effect. So we're kind of going to stay close. So we're going to Florida next year in Q1. I have an investor who owns a lot of restaurants up in the D.C. area. So we're entertaining the D.C. D.C. is very tackleable. It's not it's not like Florida. Florida's like 5 states in one,
Right.
But we'll be going to Florida Q1 for sure. And then I want to tackle that. I mean, it's wild. I looked at the statistics, and South Carolina is 22nd when it comes to vodka consumption. Florida is second. Yeah,
Okay,
and even
like it.
I was looking and it was like, I didn't realize how many schools they have down there as well, like colleges. There are 8 colleges in Florida with over 50,000 students.
Wow, and
And
that's
the biggest
kinda your
one in
target
South
demo.
Carolina is like USC or Clemson. I think it's like 27,000. And those
Wow.
are the top 2. So, I mean, it's just a behemoth.
Wow.
So we're very excited, in other words.
and it fits the vibe too, with the, like you said, the kind of the pool party vibe and the that whole thing.
Well, and people go spend their winters in Florida. You can kind of escape the cold, and it's one thing. And we have a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I'm going to drink this in the winter too," but we don't know yet, right? I haven't really had a full winter. Last year we were such at the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know, so we'll see. But I mean, Florida's permanent summer, so it certainly matches the brand.
Exactly. I love it. I thought something really interesting you said is that someone who maybe indirectly influenced you was someone who I had never heard of before. You mentioned it, but Sidney Frank, who was the founder of Grey Goose.
Yes.
So tell me how that story kind of inspired you.
Well, it's just a wild story. He had no liquor background at all, but he was able to determine in the market that people wanted to pay more for vodka. People are going in and showing off with their girlfriend or potential girlfriend, maybe wife.
Yeah.
And he looked at the liquor world and saw that every other sector, right, like you could go buy a more expensive bourbon, you couldn't with vodka. So he just, not that it's not quality, but he launched a premium brand. And then what he did really intelligently is he won all these awards quietly and then leveraged those wins to launch like a national campaign. And like I said, I think he sold it to, I think it was like about $2 billion, so not too bad.
Not bad.
And I think that was in
at all.
like 5 to 7 years. I can't remember the exact, but he's just a wild man.
Yeah.
And so I kind of identified with the no liquor background.
Yeah. Now, what do you think of, nowadays it seems like every celebrity, every wrestling or MMA star or actor is coming out with their own tequila, vodka, whiskey, bourbon, something like that. What do you think that says about the liquor industry and I guess the brand marketing?
I mean, honestly, if anything, it shows the power of the celebrities,
Yeah.
and the market reach that they have. I think tequila's probably been the biggest one. Obviously, Clooney with Casamigos was the first starter, and I think The Rock's done very well with his. But we're too early of a stage to even think about it. But I think if I had to guess, which is not the fully, I'm not the most credible person, but it kind of, you lose that value over time, right? If I have George Clooney's tequila in my house, now I got The Rock's tequila. It's like, now I got to go get Chris Rock's tequila. It's like, is Eddie Murphy launching a vodka?
Yeah.
And so I think it's one thing when Clooney had involvement in it, and I think The Rock with Terramana has some involvement. But a lot of these guys, it's a money grab, and the thing is, in the liquor industry, everyone's going, oh, well, here's a ticket to success because I can go to a distributor and strike this national deal because I got, Eddie Murphy, like I said, or something like that. And so I think I'm not very interested into it. It seems like not a cry for help, but it's like, can your liquor not make it on its own?
Yeah, fair enough.
Because like when I think Casamigos, right, I think Clooney. And I think that I want to think Casamigos more.
Right,
and so I think you take away the value of the liquor, if you need it. It's not that in every situation, obviously, but,
So it's not so much, this person having any sort of a passion for the industry, just probably somebody approaching them and saying, hey, if we make you the face of this, here's a little bit of equity in it. Here's our plan.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not against it, but, I want Zest to get big, not Jimmy Buffett to be big and make Zest big. That being said, if Jimmy Buffett hears that, tell him to call me.
I was going to say, if you want to pitch, now's your chance.
Hey, Jimmy. But yeah, so I think it's a good leverage tool, but it needs to be done at the right step. You need to make your brand valuable prior to reaching out to that celebrity. Take it to the next level with it, but a lot of people are just shelling out all these cash that are startups. They're putting out millions of dollars just to launch onto the celebrity before anyone knows the brand.
Yep. So, and if the product sucks, then it doesn't matter who's in front of it.
Exactly.
Right? So make sure the product's solid.
And we'll see in 5 years. I don't know how valuable being like, I got a celebrity, and the distributor's like, hey guys, we got another celebrity guy.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. That whole bubble could burst. So that was a really cool story. You also mentioned Matthew McConaughey, which I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah. And that's when you said it was like, what a personal influence, and I just think he's awesome. And I read the book Green Lights recently, so it was well timed for that one. But I just think he's a great guy. Very hardworking. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of things that I've learned, if you read, excuse me.
We both.
If you read, that's perfect timing. Look at that. If you look at a lot of these celebrities, I remember I even read about like Hugh Jackman, right? I'm like, that's like the X-Men guy. I'm not like a huge X-Men fan.
Yeah.
But like he wakes up every morning and takes an ice bath and rows. And it's like these guys have massive work ethics. It's not like you don't just get famous out of pure luck. Mm-hmm. And so Matthew McConaughey is a leading example of it. And his involvement, and he does a lot of motivation and gives back. So I just thought it was a very cool guy, and I've recently read Green Lights. Great book, by the way, if anyone's listening. So.
Yes, definitely. I highly recommend. He actually started paying a lot of attention to him when he was doing his promo tour for the book.
Oh, okay.
Doing a lot of podcast interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
He said one thing that really resonated with me as a business person, and maybe resonated with you too, but he talked about there's periods of time in his life where he lost his wink. Do you remember him talking about that? Yeah. And I felt that just in the grind of business, where I don't know if it's just like a subconscious energy conservation or something, where just that kind of joy and that energy kind of fades for a period of time. And you have to re-find it. You have to.
Yeah, it's pushed through. It's seasons,
Yeah, exactly.
Winter's coming, whether you want to or not. You just got to learn that summer's after.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome, man. Jake, what about you? Where are you in 5 years?
Where am I? What was my answer? It's hilarious. I was like sunburnt Caicos.
I got it right here. Yeah.
So I can't really go anywhere in the islands without getting sunburnt with my pale ass. But maybe on an island sipping a pina colada, which, by the way, I never really drink unless I'm on vacation.
Of course.
It's my vacation drink.
You have to. Yep.
Booking right hand or booking left hand, pina colada and right.
Love it.
Thinking about the next venture, man.
Love it. Any ideas? What sort of when you brainstorm the next venture down the road, what sort of fun ideas come to mind?
Well, that's the thing. So I keep a journal. And I write things in a journal, and then I try not to look at them because I don't want to take focus from this.
Fair.
So I have a list of probably 25 things. Some of them you'd be like, that is a stupid idea. It's like, I don't know, cars for cats.
It's a fine line between brilliant and really dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to find that line.
Exactly. And so I do keep a journal of them, but I really, like I said, I don't like to ever get a plan B in mind. I like to have plan A. If plan B's there, you start thinking about plan B.
It's great philosophy. I have no doubt you'll be massively successful with that philosophy. Awesome.
Or have a lot of liquor.
Yeah.
That's when my family, this is a funny little story. I was like sitting in like I come from a family where everyone's like, my cousin's going to like med school and the other one's working for a corporation. And I'm sitting there and they're like, so you're like making liquor. And I was like, hey, listen, guys, I'll either make a little bit of money or I'll have a lot of booze. And no one laughed. And I was like, I thought that was great.
That's a great, if that's the worst case scenario.
In Charleston, that's a fail-safe plan.
That's very, yeah, you'll be able to unload your no problem at all. Awesome, man. Okay, last couple questions before we transition into our final couple. if people want to learn more about you, learn more about Zest, where can they find you?
So drinkzest.com. Drink isn't just the way it's spelled, drink, and then Zest. So we have recipes on there. We have, a store locator. So yeah, that's pretty much that in our social media, right?
Okay.
All the social handles, you can kind of get the lifestyle of it. You'll see where we're doing events next and every basically up-to-date news.
Beautiful. All right, Drink Zest on
drinkzest.com.
And drinkzest.com.
And Drink Zest on Instagram as well. I think even TikTok. I found out we had a TikTok.
You guys have a TikTok?
We have a TikTok.
Fantastic.
I know. One of my business partner's wives is just great, and she runs the social. And she was like, I'm uploading some videos to TikTok. And I was like, we have a TikTok?
I feel like, especially nowadays, we just got one too.
Okay.
About 3-4 months ago. And I don't know the login. I don't know how to make a TikTok. I know nothing about it. But apparently it's pretty integral.
I know.
Point.
Now that I'm in my 30s, I'm cane shopping more than I'm looking at TikTok.
All right, last couple questions. If you could go back 10 years and talk to 21-year-old Jake, just put your arm around him, give him a little piece of advice, what would you say to him?
Do it sooner, even if I could. It's just don't stop. One of the things I believe in is I've learned that when I first started companies, we'd have these failures, and it would just like break me. I'd be like, man, when the first year of business, I expected to be a millionaire, and so the thing is, I learned more from failures than I did from successes, and so you don't fall backwards, you fall forwards. And so don't be afraid to fall. It's like everyone, like there's so many people out there that have an idea or something and they never enter it because of the worst case scenario. They're like, well, what if it fails? And it's like, well, what if it fails?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'd rather drive than I'd rather crash and drive than be the passenger.
Yeah.
And so I would just recommend to anyone to take the lead, and that's the other. I've had a lot of people that, if you're trying to do something, the entrepreneurial world is very helpful. People like to help you. And so I've had immense amounts of assistance on this path. I'm not self-made. I'm like the opposite of self-made.
Yeah. We're the product of all those that influenced us.
Exactly.
Up to this point.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So I guess that kind of answers the next question, but maybe we'll transition it a little bit. So typically we would say, what piece of advice would you give to someone who's inspired by what you're doing, maybe wants to do something similar, but maybe what advice would you give to find that network and to get a hold of those mentors?
Look in your local area. There's a place in Charleston called the Harbor Club, which is kind of like an entrepreneurial group. There's many groups throughout the area, and I remember I looked into the entrepreneur group, and I walked in, and it was like a young executives meeting, and I was like, well, this sounds good.
Yeah.
And I walked in there like in a sport coat, no tie, but a sport coat on, like dressed like I thought I would. Everyone's like in like golf polos, and like, who's this kid? But that's the thing. That's you force yourself into it, right? Nothing cool happens in the comfort zone.
Yep.
So if you feel uncomfortable, you're doing the right thing. So, go branch out, look in, even the newspaper, and just go to meetup groups and stuff that you don't want to do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Or at least don't feel comfortable at, because that's how I met most of my people. It's just forcing myself in the situation.
And you never know which domino will lead to the next domino, which leads to the next big thing.
Yeah, I remember someone told me one time, it's like luck doesn't exist, but you can certainly expand your surface area for luck. It's like if you don't get lucky, you're going out and going to all these meetings, right? You could say, hey, you got lucky. It's like, well, I went to 6 meetings and you did nothing. Is that really luck?
Yeah.
It's like you expand your surface area for luck. I've always liked that. Yeah.
That's a great tip. Awesome, man. Dude, it has been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a blast.
Thanks for coming on, telling your story. We will definitely share your info, put the notes in the description of the video, and definitely looking forward to drinking the rest of this bottle.
I know.
Not today.
Not today.
At least not before noon.
No. Well, it's Charleston.
Yeah, I guess you could.
Afternoon.
Hey, appreciate you, man.
Of course, Jeremy. Thank you, brother.
Hey y'all, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like or follow or subscribe, whatever platform you're on, just hit the button to make sure you don't miss any future episodes.
Yep, and please help us grow the channel by sharing it with someone else who might enjoy it as well. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.